and then when research or when the resource isn't even used, it seems like it's totally pointless. Don't make yourself seem dumb. Look at the wiki to be educated about the policies and procedures on how we do things. We have tried to streamline the wiki. We've already logged in. If you try logging in and it says permission denied or whatever it is, put it on the help desk if you don't know your password. We'll get you a new password assigned. Or
U4 business still works.
And then the U4, the generic one is the U4 in the business.
Still works.
It still works, and we're not changing that. And that's a read-only. That's a read-only. The point of what I'm going to show you today is realistically, I'm going to touch for about maybe 1 to 2 minutes on how to edit a document, but mostly I'm just going to show you where things are in the wiki. So that way you can find out that there's a resource available to you. First of all, it's split up by companies. It's by Benson Communications, by Brookpoint, Indiana Telephone, Fort Wayne Properties, Wawasee Plaza, William James Morris. Now, sometimes the order of things changes because, well, it might not be alphabetized here in this section, or it some of these might be able to be merged together. And lots of times we do go through and merge documents that so one person might have created the same thing that already exists. We'll actually merge those two documents together. So if you're trying to find something and you can't find it by simply going to Indiana Telephone Network and then operating procedures, if you're unable to locate what you're trying to find, then you can always, as you can see, there is a ton of information in here. If you can't find what you need, try searching for it. Let's say, for example, I want to find out information on cancel my account. So I can type in cancel. I click on that, and then it gives me up search results. I'm sure you all have used Google. There's no difference between Google and this. It's a search. It's a basic search. And what do you know? Cancel my account. 31 hits on the first, the first thing. Benson maintenance plan cancellations, which it then references. So let's say, for example, I want to pull up how to cancel somebody that's on a Benson maintenance contract. Pull it up. I talk to him exactly what it is. It's like, hey, look what it says. You cannot fill out or cancel their contract over the phone or the store. They have to use cancel my account. So if you want to use more information about that, it's like, okay, well, let's just go back and we can look up cancel my account. So there is a lot of information that you can find right in here. Step-by-step procedures, how to cancel my account process works, how to verify a customer's identity. You can see there is lots and lots of information that's already created. Now, I will be the first in this room to admit there is about 60% of the things that we do not documented in this wiki. As Eric and I find these, we try to create the document right then and there. If you find something that's not there, that you need, and you don't know how to create it, or you don't know the business rules behind it, ask Melanie, or ask Eric, or ask me, and we will create it right then and there. Because that tells us that you're actually utilizing the wiki, and that we can work together to document how to do this in the future. Because if you have a question, somebody else probably has the same question. Okay? But first, always first, look up in the wiki on how to use something. You want to know, this wiki should be designed so that way anybody that works for me, you might not know anything about this hotel, but if I say, hey, we have an emergency, can you please go down and work the front desk, or go fill in water in the pool, you shouldn't come to me and say, well, I don't know how to fill in water in the pool. Because the first thing I would do is I'd go to the wiki and type in fill water in the pool, and there's a YouTube video, there's everything about that information. Not that that scenario would ever happen, but if it did.
And if it's not here, try the YouTube video, or try.
Yeah. And we're trying very hard to make sure that all the YouTube videos are already in here. Let's say, for example, you want to know some information about building information about, let's see, like under building information for Brookpoint, as an example. We have documentation on the mowers signs, the fonts that we use for our billboards. All of this information is documented. If somebody says to you, Carrie gets the call, well, what font do you use? Carrie should not come to me and ask, what font do I use? She should go to the wiki to see what font she should use. If there's something wrong with the dryer, everything that there is to know about the dryer, who to call, is right here. Let's say, for example, we need to find out information about the ice machine. Parts list for the ice machine is here. Contact information for the parts is here. And who we call for tech support is here. The wiki is here for you to be able to help solve your own issues. It's obviously easier to let somebody else deal with something, but if you can help diagnose what's going on, and it's super busy and somebody else is already swamped, like Corey's out and about, you can call tech support and say, hey, my ice machine's doing this. What am I supposed to do? So, we've got, like I said, there's lots of information in here. We have Wallasey Plaza building information.
As you see, we have nothing for Wayne yet.
Yeah, the red indicates that there's nothing there. It's a placeholder. It means that there needs to be a document created. We actually keep track of the standard paint colors that we utilize. So there is lots of information that's already here. So what I'm going to show you real quick is recent changes. Recent changes is always at the top of the screen, and when I click on that, it tells me what things were recently changed and by whom. I can see that several things. Today's the 3rd? Oh, no, today's the 4th. Okay, so it's been 2 days since anyone has changed anything in the wiki. The last change that was made was by Eric Frick. He added something to the discounts and promotions page. Now, I can see where a lot of you say, well, when did this policy change? Or when did this change? Or when did this article change? Because that's not how it was before. Well, the nice little thing is to see these little glasses. I can click on these glasses, and it shows me side by side what was changed. The left side shows what it looked like before. The right side shows me that it was added. If it was taken away, it would be red. But since that was changed, you can see how powerful that is. Here's another indication where he changed that. So that's one example of that. I'll go down to Eric changed in the employee manual on the 2nd. He added, what did he add? Well, let's find out. I'm not saying that you guys have to look at all of this stuff, but if you want to see a particular document, you can actually see what section was covered and what was added. So if there was a typo in it, we change it, we keep track of it right then and there. BPI building information, I changed something about the ice machine. Step-by-step on-site procedures. You can see what information was changed. Looks like he added a section. So that's how you do it by recent changes. Well, you say, well, let's say, for example, Ben, I don't know if I want to go through all of these most recent changes all the time. And I'm not saying that you have to, but it just gives you an idea that if something was changed frequently, you could go back through and look at it. Well, let's say, for example, I want to see the discounts and promotions. This is obviously the discounts and promotions that we use for ProPoint. It's all split up. Well, what's really cool is you hover over this little hourglass, you can see old revisions. What do you know? Now I see just the changes that were done to this page. I can see who did it, what time they did it, and if, let's say, for example, I want to go back to 5/27 at this time, I want to see what Ben did. At that very second, I can actually see side by side what was actually changed. So it's very, very powerful on what you can find, and that's why we're trying to utilize the wiki, so that way if policies and procedures are changed, you immediately can see and track those changes. So while Eric and I keep saying the wiki, the wiki, the wiki, the wiki, the wiki, we're doing it for a reason, is because we're trying to let you guys become more educated on procedures and policies. So that way we're not
You have multiple people getting involved at any given time.
Correct. Now, one other thing, let's say for example you say, oh, you know what, I just noticed, I'm going to open up this discounts and promotions page. I noticed that you have a typo, or that shouldn't be the AA discount, that should be the AAAAA discount. I don't know, somebody screwed it up. There's a little pencil right here that says edit this page. You click on edit this page. You come down and scroll down and look for the AAAAA discount. Come in here and change. Now that's what the discount is. There are several different things that you can do. You can do save, preview, or cancel. Honestly, I always hit the save button. You can do the preview, it's just going to show you what it's going to look like side by side with what the change was before. Now that has been changed, and it says the AAAAA discount. So what I can do is I can edit this page again. Any place where that pencil is, you can then edit. And while they're to be confused, I don't want to make any changes. So let's say, for example, well, Ben, there's all these other little stars and asterisks, and how many breaks do I need between each section, and what do I need to do? The easiest thing to do is look at how it was formatted above and duplicate it. If for some reason you don't format it correctly, I don't care. I'll fix it. Because I see those changes, I look at those changes every single day. So if I see that something that's out of whack formatting-wise, I'll fix it. Okay? You'll start to see a pattern to how this is, especially if you're editing it. Eric's getting already familiar with how to edit, changes the other day. He had to actually call me because he couldn't figure out what was wrong with one of the formattings. And he had an extra asterisk in it. It took me probably 5 minutes to actually try to figure out what the actual problem was, but it's just one of those things that's kind of finicky in that regards.
And don't let that intimidate you.
Don't let it intimidate you. Just get the information in there. We'll make it look right. So if you see something not right, hit the edit button, put the text in there how it is, and we'll fix the rest. I know that there are many of you that like to have everything perfect. Well, here's the problem. I have been in business for 14 years. We have just now, as to, Monday, established an on-site procedure. Why had that never been created before? It just hasn't. No one took the time to write down what needs to be done. Whether it should be right, wrong, or imperfect, write it down. It's just one of those things. It's very hard with as many things that we do. If we don't have all of the procedures written down, then we just won't know. So we're trying to make it so that way when somebody does get trained for a job, it's very familiar. Everybody knows what needs to be done. They already have that information. So we don't have to go through these huge, long training processes. I mean, as Carrie and I have talked, what will eventually happen is when we have a new front desk person train in, every procedure that needs to be done from step 1 to step 2 will all be completely in the wiki. And they actually have to go through that training process after they get trained in person. So that way there's no confusions on how to do this job. But right now, I would say close to 95% of that is not documented. I've owned this hotel now for 2.5 years. Nowhere do we have anywhere in the wiki on how to document how to do a check-in. So you say, well, how can you go 14 years without having an on-site? Things just go by. And if they don't get documented, they just don't get documented. Okay? So, things like that, we just need to keep on top. If you notice that there's not something documented, work with me, work with Eric, we'll get it documented. Eric and I are trying very hard, we're trying very hard to whatever you guys find, we're trying to actually write that procedure right then and there. Because we know that it's something that you guys need, and we want to make sure that we give you the tools to do your job.
I put it this way, we know that priority things happen, things come up, emergencies happen, we have to stop what we're doing right now and work on the next thing. Problem with that is, if we do that, 2 hours later goes by, and then we come back and go, oh, what were we working on here? And we forget to document what we were doing. So 14 years of that is how on-site procedures did not get developed. No one care to stop and, okay, we have to do this before we move on to this next project. It is okay to not work on to the next thing until you've documented if it needs to be documented. Don't move on. Document it first.
Does anybody have any questions about the wiki? If you don't have login instructions, let me know.
Look on the wiki.
Do you want people to write articles, or do you want them to submit them for approval?
Realistically, at this point
I mean,
in time,
small changes like
I am more concerned about just go ahead and write the article. If you know how the procedure needs to be done, Brenda very well, she knows exactly how to do a vending order. She probably knows more than anybody else in this room how to do a vending order. But honestly, right now, to this very moment, I could not do a vending order. I don't even know who she calls. Okay, so that's a problem. That should be documented. If she doesn't know how to do this, I'm sure that Brenda would come to me and say, Ben, I don't know how to put this in here, but here's the document I typed up in my email. And I'll say, thank you, Brenda! Copy and paste in place. You know, it's just one of those things. So,
and then edit it after.
and then I'll edit it after the fact. I don't care about misspellings, I don't care about it, because like I said, every day I'm checking the recent changes. Because I, as the business owner, want to know if somebody's changing something that, might not necessarily be the thing. Or I'm alerted to something that's like, hey, guess we forgot about this scenario, or we forgot about this. So, and I'll be honest, there's been times where I've clicked on the recent changes, and all of a sudden I'll see a new document that's been created, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't think about this. We need this procedure, this procedure, this procedure, this procedure. So then what I'll do is, in that document, I'll actually create placeholders for what other documents need to be created. And then that link shows up, if you saw before, see how there's how those links were red? So basically now, I know that I need a building information, I need some ITN charges and fees and other charges. I know that I need a 916 West Coliseum information. So now, all Eric has to do is click on 916 West Coliseum, you can start putting in information. It's really simple to do. And creating a link to something is extremely simple as well. There's a little button for it. Let's say, for example, I want to do edit on the Fort Wayne property section. Creating a placeholder for something. See what I mean by I'm just going to copy the previous header information. See how I pressed enter and it automatically created a new asterisk. So then I'm going to say open open bracket or
Yeah.
open bracket. Okay. And then I'm going to say Ben's Jungle House. I don't know. Okay, so I know, right? So I don't know where my close bracket is.
Represented.
Next way.
As my sort of.
It's those. There's just really small. Okay, so if you notice that I just created an open bracket, close bracket, I hit save. Now what happens is I created a placeholder for Ben's Jungle House. So now I might say Ben doesn't own a jungle house, and I'll be like, I do. So, but anyway, so I'm just going to literally I'm going to click on Ben's Jungle House. It's going to say, this page doesn't exist. Would you like to create it?
Yep.
See that? Create this page.
I'll create that for you.
Okay, that'd be great. You going to put pictures of yourself on there?
Oh.
Any questions? What did I not explain to you on the wiki that maybe would be more of a help? Okay, I'm good.